I woke up this morning, no power, no internet, and I had to figure out what was I gonna do. I saw the charts. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna look for a gap fill and I'm gonna hold for at least a 50, 60 point gap fill on the Nasdaq today. And I'm gonna show you guys the 15-minute chart, why I was able to hold through some ups, some downs. At one point I was up $4,000 and then it pulled back to almost break even. But I kept focused on the 15-minute chart. I kept believing that one simple idea here, my friends, that gaps love to get filled. We're gonna break it all down right here in this video, so make sure you stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Patrick here today talking about the Nasdaq getting filled, and I had no power, I had no internet, so I wasn't able to stream today. I was using my phone's hotspot to basically sit on my laptop and trade through Tradeovate, trading the Express Funded accounts with Topstep. Also, if you're watching the video right now, this is the last and final day to get 25% off of the Topstep Combine. That's for the entirety of the Combine. 25% off. If you want to learn more, there's a link down below. We're going to be also giving away some Topstep accounts really soon here on the live streams as well. Got a lot of stuff going on. If you guys haven't tuned in, 9:15 a.m., you know where to tune in. We got Sage calling out the market. We got all the fun stuff. So let's dive into that 15-minute chart. All right, so now obviously in hindsight, you're like, wow, that was an easy move, Patrick. You're a genius, blah, blah, blah. But let's talk about kind of what went down first and how I was able to identify this setup and this idea of buying down here at the 80s for a move up there to the 13,000. I was looking for 13,180, 200 area. And the reason for that is right here. If we look at the QQQ, what do we got on the QQQ today? We had a massive gap to the downside. Go to regular trading hours and look at that. We closed yesterday here at the 319s. We opened today down here at the 316s. So we had a big gap in the chart. And what do we think? When we see that there's a gap in a chart like that, what do we think? Well, we think, hey, that we know that gaps love to get filled. So we're looking for a push back up to this 319 area here on the QQQs, on the NASDAQ here, and look at exactly what happened. We filled the gap almost perfectly. I mean, well, beyond perfectly. We went past the gap. We literally went past the gap and broke to the highs up there to the 319.50 area right there, and still kind of pushing up, possibly moving higher here end of day. But the focus is that gap. We knew the gap was there. We thought like, hey, the gap is there. There's a really good reason for this to fill that gap. There's a reason to be long down here at the bottom. I don't want to be shorting down here at the bottom when I know that we kind of have this previous area where we bounced off this area here before at the 316s. So I'm just looking like that, like, hey, let's think about this. We also got that pivot point right there at the 317.19 area. So if we get above that, well, then we're looking for that push up to the 319. So that's the QQQ chart. And basically, I'm looking at that before the market opens to figure out, like, is there a gap in the chart? Is there a reason for the market to push back up? Just naturally want to push back up and fill that price action. You got to think those gaps are basically a imbalance in price action. There's not a lot of price action, not a lot of volume when you get those gaps down like that. So it's very easy for the price to move back up and fill that gap. So remember, if you ever think about one thing when you're watching my videos, or you learn one thing from my videos, is the gaps love to get filled. There's no reason to short until we fill that gap, basically. If you're looking to short today, well, there was really no reason to get short. It's why I was so confident to hold through those ups and the downs here this morning. See here, locking in $2,600 on the Express Funded account. If you guys want to learn more, like I said, there's a link down below. You can sign up for 3 accounts with Topstep right now to do the Trade Copier. I'm working on one other account right now for the step 2. If you've been funded with Topstep before, they will put you right into step 2. So you guys can see here, locking in $2,600 after commissions and fees and everything, $5,300, locking it in on those 2 accounts. And I can withdraw that money as well from the Express Funded account there. I was long there from the 80s with the Trade Copier, with the 3 contracts in each account. So a total of 6 contracts from the 80s with my stop basically below this 60 area, that 65 being the low there, and that needing to hold for that double bottom opportunity. And you can see at open, we rallied from the 80s all the way up there to the 132. So like a 40-point move on that first 15-minute candle. And I'm like, well, Should I take profit? No, I'm not going to take profit yet because I'm going to believe that this gap's going to get filled. I know this gap wants to get filled, so I'm not going to take profit until we get a bigger move here. And that's exactly what I did. So you can see this next 15-minute candle, we pull back. But what I want to point out here is let's focus on these 15-minute candles. Even though we push up here, right? We push up into this level right there, and then we pull back. What is the big focus here? The low of this 15-minute candle. We didn't break it. We didn't even touch it. We kind of held right there. So that's one thing to really focus on here, 15-minute chart-wise. There was the open of that candle right at the 85 level. This next candle had a low of 89, so we didn't even get down into this level. So that's telling me that we're staying bullish. And you can see this next candle, we push up there again. So we got denied almost 3 times. So this is about 45 minutes of price action getting denied there at the 130s. And like I said, you know, I was up 4,000, up 4,000, up 4,000, and then back like break even almost 3 or 4 times here on these candles. But the focus again, like I said, is the bottom of these candles. Where are we at? Are we bouncing? Are we bouncing? I believe the market's going to fill the gap. We're holding. It's bullish. Even though we keep pulling back, like I think we're going to finally break through there and we're going to get this move up. And that's exactly what happened. You can see it was actually kind of interesting because this candle right here was almost like a fake out where it pulled back. It was like right there at the 91s. Like it could possibly break to the downside. Like, oh, did I really screw up here? Did I mess up? Did I not get the right read? And look at what happens after that. We rip back up. We close almost at the top of that candle. And once I saw that, once we closed the top of that candle, I was like, well, it's almost a guarantee that we're going to squeeze up here to the 40, 60, 80 area, looking for that gap fill here on the Nasdaq. And you can see here, that's exactly what happened. These 15-minute candles, very much showing kind of overall the trend here, but the structure, right? Like we're not pulling back. We're not breaking below the previous candle. We're not breaking above the previous candle, but we're not breaking below. So I stick to my plan. I stick to my idea that we're going to move higher because we're not breaking lower. So if we're going to break lower, we would have broken lower. Like we're not going to double bottom and then ding, ding, ding. I mean, obviously we could have broken lower, but as long as we weren't breaking below those previous candles, like I was staying in it and I was staying focused on the idea of getting that gap fill. So the 15-minute chart today really coming in clutch here, you know, and I wasn't even using any indicators. I had 0 indicators. I was only using the Trade website basically with the 15-minute chart. So all I was looking at here was the price action. You know, these 3 candles looking very much like a big kind of bull flag, not perfect, but still a bull flag. Getting the breakout there, and then look at that move once we pushed above the 120s here, all the way up there to the 200s. So this really is a great picture of like price action, reading this price action, believing the price action, believing in the strategy here that the gaps love to get filled. We push up, we're holding that trend. We get the breakout right here basically, and then look all the way up there to the 200s. So a absolutely beautiful move here on the Nasdaq today. Again, getting that gap fill, believing in the gap fill, believing in the price action, seeing the price action, knowing that there's no reason to short here. There's no reason to short. We're pushing up. We got the gap fill there, staying with that mindset that I'm going to get that fill. And I know that the market loves to fill those gaps, right? Like if I'm going to preach that, if I'm going to believe it, well, then I might as well trade it as well. If I'm going to tell people like, hey, gaps love to get filled all day, well then I better make sure I take the trade, right? Like I better make sure that I take the trades. And you guys can see here, I posted 5 hours ago, 9 a.m., the SPY QQQ gap fill, the NQ, the Nasdaq looking for that push up there to the 13,180. So that was 4 hours ago. Basically saw that idea of pushing up there and I was focused on that and believing it, right? Like if we're going to have a strategy, we're going to have a belief in our system, we got to trade it when the setups are there. I mean, this was a textbook, beautiful setup for a gap fill. Like I was 100% believing we're going to get that squeeze up, believing that this is going to happen, right? We're going to get that move that we're looking for. And that's what we had to stick to. We had to stick to that plan, believe in that plan. And that's part of trading, right? Like if you're going to have a strategy, you got to trade that strategy. You got to believe in it, because when there's days like today, when you get those amazing setups and you can see that you're locking in amazing profits, when you have those types of days, it really just makes the bad days so much better, because you're like, hey, I had one little small red day, but today I followed my plan, I followed my strategy, and I hit a home run trade, right? Like I could have held even longer. I mean, obviously I could have been greedier. I probably could have got another 30 or 40 handles on that move. But at some point it's like, all right, you know, I'm up 60, 70 points. Let me take my profit. And that's what we did today. So if you guys want to learn more, tune in 9:15 a.m. We're live here on YouTube, breaking it all down for you guys. I will talk to you guys later on.